name is Morrison, and this week in car audio. Tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in. This week in car audio. Tune in, tune in, tune in. What we talking about, bass? Talking about chips, talking about rings. You ain't got them, zip your lip. You got a problem you haven't found, check your grounds. The show about to start. Tune in, 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 tune in. This week in car audio. Yeah. Tune in. This week in car audio.
Welcome to This Week in Car Audio with your host, the Judge, Doug Stockton, co-hosted by the new World Finals head judge, Mr. Jeffrey Fernandez. What's good, Jeff?
Nothing much.
Well, finals
Little known
head-
fact, I actually was a head judge several years ago.
Oh, were you?
But nothing of this magnitude where,
You were
I
in
had to
charge
bring
of the
my own-
venue.
yeah, in charge of the venue. I had to bring my own equipment,
Uh-huh.
basically set everything up. So, but it was cool. It wasn't, as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think, of course, with the help of Solis, directing traffic, telling me what I need to know, where I need to be, what I need to do. It just made it so much more easier.
Yeah. I mean, she's been part of a couple of World Finals throughout time,
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
And this is kind of like setting precedents. Like she was able to do all of that, in the comfort of her own home. So, I mean, who knows where that could lead, what we could do, what the possibilities are. I mean, Wayne was at home also, controlling everything. And was it the control center is where he was at. So
Yeah, air traffic control, as he liked to put it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I will say a couple of judges. Oh, Justin Hanking, congratulations, good sir. Awesome weekend for you. Can't wait to see what comes 2025. Jody Green popping in afternoon. Jose Ramos, that's senior. Joel Yabamit popping in. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to so I can pull up my YouTube stuff. But yeah, it was a good time. How did your venue go? Looking back,
Mhm.
do you see areas to improve? Do you see, for you personally, as a
Mhm.
judge or hosting the venue, what do you see for you, sir?
Um, it kind of reminded me back when I was competing when I would show up to like say Nashville, that kind of venue feel.
Oh yeah.
There was a big I guess difference at the Texas venue was so they didn't technically have air conditioning. But it's October. They had these huge fans above us. They also had these porta coolers, I think they were called,
Oh, okay, yeah.
which some of the competitors noticed. They were kind of tucked away in the corner, and luckily we got a hold of um, facilities there, and we had to pay a little extra for them, but we got some put up, and yeah, everyone was happy. So I mean, I think probably maybe that was the only thing. You can't ever beat though Nashville, where the venue was technically in the basement
Of the
and
hotel, yes.
of the hotel, and then you go to your hotel room, you just hop on the elevator, bam, you're at your hotel room. But other than that, I couldn't really think of anything that we could have done better. But there's always going to be room for improvement for sure.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool. So how did your venue do for rings and what for rings this year?
We got three. We
You
got
got three?
Yeah,
Okay.
there was Team Crossfire Christian, who actually got two
Uh-huh.
rings. One in Super Street 1 to 2 on the DB Drag format.
Oh,
And
okay.
then on the freestyle format, took first in freestyle wall.
Okay.
And kind of a sleeper, we had a 30s base race winner at our venue, Donnie Keller,
Okay.
which I mean, a little known fact was he wasn't even planning to do 30s going into finals and decided, let me just do the 30s. 20s is unlocked. I think a lot of the guys were talking strategy going into finals, talking
Uh-huh.
about, okay, we got two people, we know two people are going to go from each class, first and second. Why don't you do the 20s? You're locked up on the 20s. Cool, we got two people there. 30s, so they're just kind of, all right, let's do it. Me and you'll do 30s. 40s was locked too. So I think, they got together and was, strategized and made sure that Texas was represented in each of the base rates classes. So
All
that was
right.
kind of cool.
Yeah. First off, like to thank our sponsors for tonight's show. We have Badass Sounds by Steve Bass, Stolman Transportation, Justin Stolman, and Box Design and Install, uh, Eric Hansen with the not winning a ring this year, but he was
Yeah.
giving it a try again, right?
Oh yeah, I think, just to be able to see these guys kind of evolve,
Uh
how they
huh.
first came in as rookies, a little timid and, not knowing what's going to happen. And then now, like, man, Eric was just like stone cold. He took first place at, the
In the
well, I
local
guess
event.
regional locals,
Uh huh.
took first place in base race and top dog. So man,
Ooh.
he was on his game. And what was funny was he ended up facing off against Jimbo for top dog.
Okay.
But as you can recall, you might recall, the podcast we've had, throughout the year. He would always chime in and say, "Hey, I want to go up against Jimbo. I want to go up against
Yeah.
Jimbo." And by luck, or by, I guess, random luck, he ended up going against Jimbo uh, last. Well, he was last in the order. So either way, like I heard you on the stream, he's got back-to-back runs against Jimbo. So I was like, man, you got your wish.
Uh huh.
And then he ended up succumbing to Jimbo, but he got his wish.
Chris Caudell, something about people know best base racers somewhere location or something. I don't know. Something about a
Mm.
hurricane or something. I can't
What?
quite read his. I'm having a hard time reading. It's a little blurry over there. Speaking of some located base racer with a 49.9 championship, along with the Super Street No Walls championship this year,
Think it
our
was Pro
guest.
Stock No Limit,
Oh,
right?
that's right. Sorry, Pro Stock No Limit. Same thing. Is
Yeah,
Matt Holloran. How's it going, Matt?
yeah, man. How are you?
Oh, it's all good. Um, glad you're here. Let's see, Joel with that rookie that competes everywhere is who he is. Eric Hansen with the hello. Yep. Hey, we didn't even get an opportunity for somebody to try and beat the boss.
At
So
finals?
yeah, all of
Oh,
my
okay.
guys busted out before they had an opportunity.
Oh man.
Rosa was killing it in the 39.9 class,
Yep.
and she just the last half second she
Ah,
didn't understand to control it a little bit. She did something like 139 or something like that base race runs, hitting 9.9 in a row the night before. She was primed, ready to go, and she
wow.
busted out.
Ah,
So,
man.
and I'm just gonna say, every single competitor in California busted out in the 49.9 or in the 29, 39, and 49 class. So, speaking of you know doing this, Matt, did you competed in some of the multi-venue events, right? Or did you just only compete in one of them, or other than World Finals?
The like the
Tennessee versus
yeah,
California. You did both
yeah,
of them, right?
yeah. The last one, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first one I've done. And it was way out in Shelbyville, out at Aaron Cheney's little vape shop out there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Joe Mullen says my buddy Matt. um, so how did you feel that multi-venue practice may have helped you for World Finals?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
so what? How did it help you, or how was it different? Feel or sounds or whatever. How was it different in a multi-venue event versus head-to-head right there locally?
Well, I mean, honestly, because everybody here, we're all a family, we're all teammates and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Where Jeffrey is, that's the same. Where you are, that's the same.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to shows here, we're battling the same people all the time, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so definitely going to the multi-venue events like that and getting to kind of run against some other competitors, you know, that we might see at finals and stuff like that. It definitely preps you for that.
Mm-hmm. And also having the internet, right? So there's a totally different feel when you're competing at a multi-venue versus just a local event. The big difference is really is some people are rooting for you and some people are rooting for your opponent at a
Yeah.
local event.
Yeah.
And at a multi-venue event, there's not a single person there that's not rooting for you to win, right?
Yeah.
So, you're carrying a little extra weight on your shoulders, but it's also cool to have them backing you. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Joel wants me to please announce he has a DB drag event in the Philippines on November 23, 2024. Very first time he's judging a DB drag event. So very cool,
Nice.
Joel. He came by my house. I dropped off. I gave him his Competitor of the Year award. So he got that. It really sucked. It showed up literally Monday after World Finals. So, but it was a very nice award. It's on his Facebook and whatnot. So it's the first time I've ever done one of those awards, and I will be doing more in the future for people. It was actually a really cool award. So he got the first one. Dave McKay, Matt Holloran, what's up, buddy?
What's up, David?
So, speaking of Mr. David McKay,
Oh yeah.
would you like to help us? I swear to you, in all honesty, I expected him to be the guy to come out. And I think he did 29s, right?
30s.
Oh, he did 39.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I thought it was him coming out of the 39-9 bracket. Just looking at it from a objective standpoint, standing out.
Even all the guys in Texas, knew he was the guy to beat.
Right.
And when I think he got knocked out in the first round, and
He did.
The quarterfinals, it was like bam, wide open. But
Yep.
yeah, I'd like to know what happened.
Yeah.
and,
So what happened there since you were local there?
Are you talking about in finals?
Yeah, finals. Did Dave
Yeah,
just
yeah.
bust out? I forgot what
Yeah,
happened
man.
there.
He just, I mean, he normally feels it pretty good, and
Yeah.
he just definitely he wasn't on his game that day. But I will say this: David has turned into quite a teacher for base race. So I know he's been helping a lot of the other people and a lot of the new people learn how to do it and get good at it and stuff. So maybe with him helping everybody else and not practicing on his own time, maybe that kind of got him in the end. But yeah, he's still got it. I just think he was definitely off on that day.
He says, I don't know what happened. I went down 2 clicks and it went up in score. So I will explain that in a slight thing. So it's, I think it's like 5/100ths of a second is the time lag, right? So it's literally hundredths of a second. It's the speed of light to go from your computer across the internet to Dallas or Houston or where are they at? Austin, and back to your computer. So whatever that time takes at the speed of light, right? So it's a fraction of hundredths of a second, right? It's like I think it's like 5/100ths of a second. And that lag, people don't realize that that lag is there. So when they're trying to gain at the last second, or they try to turn down at the last second, when you have a local run, it's like, thousandths and thousandths of a second, right? It's like tens of thousands of a second versus
Yep.
500ths of a second. That time frame is different. When you start trying to click down at the last second, that's too late.
Yep.
And I tried explaining that to Rosa, and she didn't understand it, and that's what happened to her. Dave says, yeah, I didn't practice at all that weekend. And then he says, I know what happened. I hate that it went over. Yeah, lag got me all weekend.
And I think that's why it's really important to try to hit those multi venues
Yes.
throughout the season, because you get that experience. And like when we do local events, we do our own events, it's always you against another vehicle. I mean, say for instance, there's a bracket. But when it comes to finals, you're going up against another venue, and you're going up against essentially a picture on the screen, right? Or a video on the screen. You're not going up against somebody that's right beside you. So there is a little bit kind of almost like an eerie feeling, it's unknown, because you're not going up against somebody that's right beside you who you can
Yep.
see is like sweating bullets.
Yep.
You're going up against somebody that's on video on the screen, and that, I don't know if it messes with you sometimes, but
You're going
I
against
feel like
AI
that.
Eric.
Exactly, and you don't know what, I mean, they could have had problems. They could have blew an amp coming into that round, and it's sweating bullets, but you wouldn't know that because you're at another venue. And I think that's what happened with Matt. I think I might have heard Jeremy Kramer say somebody had lost an amp doing base race or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like,
Chivo.
whoa. Oh,
Chivo in
Chivo.
49.
Mm.
That Dave McKay says that don't bother him any. And to be honest, am I wrong, Matt? You're not going against when you get to a higher level of base race, you're not going
Yeah.
against that guy next to you. You're only going against that score right on the board in front of you. Is that inaccurate?
Exactly,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, man. On Saturday, I had trouble too. I'd practiced a
Ah.
lot, and I had my car dialed in perfect, and Saturday I got beat by Chris Gregory for the regional in
Okay.
49, and I was toggling between 49.8 and 49.9 at
Uh-huh.
the end, and I went down to 8, and just like normal, when there's 3 seconds left, I toggle back up,
Mhm.
and it didn't move. I went another click, it still didn't move. I went to the third click, and it was over. Time was up, and I was still sitting on a 49.8, and so I was like, "What in the world is happening here?" So it definitely got me too.
Yeah. Aaron Cheney says David is a great coach. Helped Keegan, myself a lot. I learned. It's you against the score from Eric Hansen.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong, right? And like I said, even when you got somebody next to you, that's what your focus is, right?
Yeah.
You don't focus on nothing but that scoreboard. You ain't looking at the person next to you. You aren't seeing if they're having problems, right? And so, your thoughts of he says, "Damn straight it is." Um, your thoughts on the multi-venue versus head-to-head at a World Finals level? What is that? A good thing? A bad thing?
It's very
Indifferent?
similar. It's very similar, and honestly, I would not be opposed to having more of those. That
Mm.
to me is it's more fun than a local show, because you're going to go against people that you're not normally going against. You don't know how good they've gotten. They don't know how good you've gotten.
Right.
So it definitely makes a difference to go against people in different areas of the country, and so
Well,
uh,
I might be convinced to do a multi-venue event next year sometime. So if we want to
go.
set that up, top dog base race, and it would have to be, once again, it'd have to be a 1X. Because so the plan is, and how it's going to work for me is, I'm going to stay here in California for approximately 2.5, 3 years after my wife moves to Wichita. Um, but I do believe we can possibly. So weather's a big factor up in Canada, right? But it'd be really cool to add Canada, or particularly any other venue, right? Like Jeremy
Yeah.
Creamer. I don't know. Does Creamer have a lot of base racers outside of Tennessee base racers?
I mean, I don't know if there's many in Alabama, or I know there's probably a couple in Alabama. I can't think right off the top of my head, but
Because like Top Dog, right? I mean, did you make it to Top Dog for finals or no?
no, I've never actually ran Top Dog at all.
Really?
No, I I think I may have dabbled in it just for a minute here and there, but yeah, I've never ran it ever.
It's kind of like Chris Caudell says, he's at the top of his game in base race, but hasn't done top dog. So
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I know Chris has ran it in a couple of shows locally,
Mhm.
and he
Yeah.
did pretty good in it and everything. So, but he's never. I don't think he's not hasn't done it in finals yet or anything. So,
Okay, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
what
it
keeps
is.
you out of Top Dog then?
it's a good question, honestly. Nothing really. I guess I feel like honestly, I'm so overwhelmed to go into finals, especially when there's two
yeah.
organizations there. So I've got DB Drag, I've
Uh-huh.
got my base race to deal with, I've got SPL to deal with,
Yeah.
and then I've got base wars, this
Base
class
wars.
and that class.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
just so much going on already with two organizations there that it was probably just a little more than I could deal with, but I'm down to try it for sure. I've watched David McKay and all them go at it. It looks fun.
All right. So Matt R wants to know, what brands does Matt run?
Got Sundown Subs, V3 Compacts, and then Sound Digital
Yes.
all the way right there.
Yeah, right off the bat, I thought I saw Justin Hankey pop in here. I guess not. I swear I saw him pop in here saying, "Hey, what's going on?" Steve Willis said, "What's up?" He's one of those no limit guys that aren't too bad at getting loud. With him and his Samurai. I heard he was getting ready to sell that thing. So what? I think we asked you this time. What got you into car audio?
Man, I've done car audio. I'm 40 years old. I've probably done it since I was 13, 14. I started getting into it. I worked for Electronic Express here in Nashville for 9 years doing install. So I did install work for a long time, and sooner or later, some of the people that I was installing for were coming in and kind of telling me about DB Drag and Mecca and all this and that, and I had no idea what it was. And so, it just kind of piqued my interest, and, fell right into it once I started going to a few shows and seeing what it was all about. And next thing you know, you're spending $1,000 on a term lab, and you're all in then.
Yeah, the shows aren't the expensive part.
No, absolutely not.
So for you, one of the questions we've been asking competitors and whatnot lately, when you're dead and gone, what do you plan on leaving behind? What legacy would you like to have left behind at that point?
Just in like the car audio world?
Yeah, in the car audio world.
Loudest trunk car. I mean, I like to jump around in classes. I don't like to stay in the same class every year. I know a lot of people do. They'll run the same class over and over and over and over again every year. I like to change it up a little bit and, try new stuff. But honestly, just loudest trunk car, I guess, would be my legacy to leave behind.
How loud did you get your trunk car?
So this year for Pro Stock No Limit, my best score there was a 62.3. So
That's
yeah,
pretty solid.
yeah, we're nowhere near the Peter over there and
Oh
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Euros.
all those guys with those crazy scores, but yeah, we do what we can here.
Um, are you familiar with Brad Frigard?
I've heard the name.
Well, so talk about jump around classes. He would change classes every year, and I think he's got a ring in like 7 different classes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's done every street class that's ever been at the time frame when he competed: Street A, Street B, Street C, Street something else, Street 1, 2.
Was it the same vehicle or different vehicles?
He did a couple of them with the same vehicle.
Oh, okay.
And then he did, and they switched up vehicles. But he was one of the first few guys with the CRX. So, yeah, he was killing it. Matt R says I started wanting to do Street Max OG 1 battery setups.
Whoa.
Yeah. So when we did Street Max and we actually got it started, the battery was truly a limiting factor. I don't think today's batteries are a limiting factor very much.
No.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember the big batteries that they would put in the CRXs under the hood.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. They would have to like mount it sideways.
Yep. We
'Cause it
would
was
take
so
out the
big.
AC. Yeah, we take out the
Yeah.
AC, take out the cool air intake, mount a battery sideways to get it in there.
And what they don't normally do, when in a regular install, when you hook it up, your system up to a battery, you just hook up the positive and then you ground somewhere where you have the amplifier. But this was like the first time that I saw back then, people were getting their negative wire from the front battery and then bringing it all to the back along with their positive wire. So you had all of these runs of power and ground wire, which was crazy at the time. But that's something that you had to have, you had to do.
Yeah, so back in the day when I competed in the I think it was 1,000 watt class at the time, 212s, 1,000 watts. I ran 8 runs for a 1,000 watt amp. I ran 8 runs of positive, 8 runs of negative. And I kept getting louder every time I added another run, right? Justin Stolman says he's a 2024 world champion in Iasca.
Oh.
At his first
Congrats.
World Finals ever. Congratulations. Steve Willis, he had 15 runs. I'm guessing that's 15 of each.
That was like the thing to do back then when you were only limited just to one battery. You had to like shove a whole bunch of runs on that little battery up front and have it go to the back.
So what are you doing for battery power for your vehicle?
All Titans, excess power.
Excess power batteries? Is Titan their battery?
Yeah, the little lithium or the Skib Titans. So I just run 4. I did have 6, but these things are so strong. I mean, you really don't need that many of them to run, especially whenever you're running clamp classes. But I just run 2 up front and then 2 in the back. So
Steve De Los Santos says, "What's up, guys?"
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, speaking of clamp, so you were in a class that, of course, is no limit, so you didn't have to clamp.
Yeah.
I mean, can you share with us? Like, I'm sure when you were testing, you would put it on the clamp. What kind of wattage were you getting?
Yeah. So to do the 62 3 was about 11,000 per sub, so 22K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
There's a reason why they call it no limit.
Yeah.
Hey,
and when you start climbing that, as you know, people like RP and Hank say all the time, to get to that 185.5, I mean, those last increments of getting on the DB level, it's hard to get there because you got to put so much more power to get to that number. So
it's an exponential curve, right? So this level, as you go through here, it's easy, and it starts getting harder, and as you get harder, that every tiny increment you get is harder than the last.
Yep.
It's double
Yeah.
double as hard as the last one, right?
Yep.
To get that next increment. It's
Yep.
amazing how intense that is. Manny Alejandre said, "What's up, guys? Lord of Base Manny is in the house. He was there out there in Valley Joe. Welcome to the Valley Joe. We were literally across the street from Marine World out there, and we finished by 2 o'clock, 1:30. So
On Saturday or
yeah,
Sunday?
on Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, on
So
Sunday. Okay.
yeah. And then on Saturday we were done by 3 o'clock our time. So you could have um, easily been able to go to Marine World after the World Finals, right? So
I wonder if there was like any kind of disturbance like in the marine world. Like you know how whales they're all sonar and all that. They all I wonder if they're like, holy shit, what was that?
Yeah.
So
What was that?
that would be cool. Yeah. Well, I think a few years back, USACI did a World Finals at a place here in Texas, and it was right next to a zoo. And they weren't invited back the following year because they, I guess,
disturb the animals.
yeah, disturb the animals. So I wonder if, Marine World got any kind of disturbances from finals being there.
Speaking of venues, Jeffrey, what was what was the hotel when you were talking about at the beginning back in Nashville where it was underneath the hotel?
Was it the Hilton?
It was called. It started with an R. Now I don't know if it was Renaissance or Regency or Renaissance. I think it was
probably the Renaissance then.
Yeah, the Renaissance.
Maybe the Renaissance hotel.
So what it is the Nashville Convention Center was actually the bottom 2 floors of that hotel. Okay. And we would have a convention center just like you would in Vegas or anywhere else. And so the convention center was inside the building. And I can't remember if it was the last year that we were there or the year before that when somebody ran through the convention center wall.
That was an extreme car because he didn't with
chalk
his
his wheels and put an e-brake on.
Yeah. There was definitely some damage to, and luckily nobody got hurt. It was it was just damage to the door. It totally jacked up that door frame. But
now we have a rule, right? You can't strap your doors without a kill switch on the outside.
And I think pushing the vehicle too, right?
Yep. And then we started pushing vehicles.
Yeah.
So to help that.
That'd be cool again.
Matt,
what, the venue you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was a phenomenal venue. The thing is so people would be blowing subs. Subs blew way more frequently than they do now. I think a lot of it has to do with dirty power then, just trying to meet the limits of the power, where now our limits of power are way beyond the capability of subs as it is, right? So we're not throwing this dirty power to them, so they're able to last, and people are a little more, have a better idea. But anyway, so you would literally blow your subs, you would hand them to somebody, they would run upstairs to their room, recone them, somebody else would be bringing them down while, what was his name? David,
PSI.
PSI Dave would be up in his room, he just recone. Didn't matter what woofer you brought him, he was just there reconing. And just there'd be people running up and down from his room all day long, bringing subs to and from his room. So
I bet he might bank that weekend.
Well, he was doing it. I'm not sure he was getting paid. It was just he was there as a representative.
I recall one year when I think we were in Cleveland. I had a couple of runs, and every run I took my woofers out and I had them recone them. I think it was like $50 every time. But it was me and Roger was doing the extreme class, and so we were both doing that. So I was doing Super Street, so we were both taking the woofers out after each run, giving them to David, and he recone them. We put them back in, and that one time that Roger didn't do that, he ended up dropping his score, and he lost in the final round in extreme up against Kyle Witherspoon, and I was like, dude, and that's when I won. That's the year I won. So I was like, we both could have won if you had taken your woofers over to David and had him recone them at the time.
Yeah,
But I mean, nowadays reconing is fairly simple if you've done it a few times. I think I've seen you, Matt. I think there was a picture last year of a couple of you guys reconing woofers in the pit stalls. So
that was all that stuff I ran into last year, and
yeah.
man, me and my teammate Paul, we were popping subs left and right. And so yeah, we had fun building subs. So
Matt R wants to know what's the frequency limit for burps. I thought it was 70 hertz, but saw somebody doing 73. So do you know that answer, Matt?
for what class? For
Well,
what?
do you know what the limits are for all the classes?
No, I don't.
Okay, so what class were you in? You were in pro stock, no limit.
No limit. Yeah.
What was your frequency cap?
I know what I played. I didn't know there was
Oh.
a cap.
Jeffrey, do you know the caps?
For street stock 1K, it's 50 hertz.
Correct.
Pro stock is 60 hertz, and then super street is 80.
Yep.
80
And then
hertz.
OG
Yeah,
is 50.
I think X, right? Well,
Yeah.
it might have. Yeah.
No, OG 10K, or X might be
X
the one.
I know is 50.
Is 50, and OG 10K might be 80 again. So
Yeah.
there you go. So there you go. That's the frequency. So if you saw somebody doing a 73 hertz, they could have been in one of those classes.
Yeah.
Joel wants to know, what does OG mean?
Old timer.
Yes.
Depends who you ask, I guess.
That's
right.
right.
But I mean, it's original, I guess, right?
Yep. Original gangster.
Original. Yeah. That's why I was saying. If you ask Ice-T, he'll tell you it's original gangster. But I think it just denotes, okay, it's an old school, original, type class. How I think Wayne kind of used it in that fashion to describe that class was just old school.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what he called it too, right? He called it old school DB drag, is what the idea behind the class is.
Right.
So
original gangster.
Yeah. So you bringing anybody up into the DB drag world or competition world, Matt? You got anybody that you're kind of mentoring or trying to get involved with this stuff, or what?
I mean, my son still he still dabbles in it a little bit. He's 19 and chasing girls and stuff right now.
No.
He's busy, so whenever he was a little younger and he was here, he was more into it. But yeah, I mean, no, other than him, really nobody else around here.
Okay. We had, speaking of disturbing the animals across, we had so many cars playing in the 20 hertz range. As a matter of fact, the guy who won the no walls, Will,
he was out of your venue.
Right, Will Welcher.
Yeah. Okay.
He was playing 19 hertz in his car, but obviously the max bonus you can get in frequency is at 20. So he got the max, but he was playing 19 hertz for his song.
Yeah.
So you're looking up on the board and it says 19 hertz.
Yeah. We had a guy at our venue too. I think Ronald Brassel, he in that F-150, that green and white F-150.
Oh, no wall.
I believe he played 19 hertz as well.
And that was a no wall also?
It was a no wall. Yeah, it was a blow through in the bed.
Okay. He won it last year.
Yeah, that truck's pretty loud.
Will was the no wall guy. We're in my venue, and he won it. The I guess Kira, was out of Canada. Had the world record prior to World Finals. So, and then he beat her by like 0.6 or something like that. But it was enough. He set a world record, and I think she repeated her previous world record at World Finals, and it just wasn't enough.
What were the vehicles? I know Ron's was blow through in the truck. What was Will's and
Wheels is I think like a Talon.
So it was.
It's like a
Was it
mid-size sports car.
trunk then, right?
No,
Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't have back seats. So it was like a hatchback type looking car.
Okay, like a Golf or something.
No, it looked like a Talon. So it was,
Talon.
or like a kind of like a Honda Civic looking thing.
Oh, okay.
And just imagine a Civic or like a hatchback Civic, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it looks something like that with a no wall in it, and is pretty good, pretty
Yeah.
solid. Let's
19
see
hertz.
here. What do you say? I just saw Kira's. Oh, Kira is a truck as well, playing stupid low with an SVL.
Oh.
I don't know what an SVL is. Is that a
SVL.
subwoofer?
Yeah, I think so.
Josh Fox plays 15 hertz in his truck just for the fun of it. That's he's asking something. Oh, similar to an Eclipse. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Aaron,
So
very,
that
very
kinda
similar
hatchback.
similar to an Eclipse.
Oh, an Eagle Talon.
Yes.
Talon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It looks just like an old Eclipse GS Turbo. Same car.
Yeah, just a little bit bigger interior
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
And I think he had 315s.
Wow.
And
So was it firing up into the hatch?
if you go online, you can see pictures of it.
Normally, that's how they would do those kind of
But
vehicles.
no,
was,
his subs were right behind the driver's seat,
wow.
and it was magnets up, and they recessed it down into the box so they were flush with the box. The magnets were flush
okay.
with the box, but they were mounted down. And then to be honest, I don't remember if his port was in the back or right there underneath the driver's seat. And he left all his seats in and everything, so he didn't even take his seats out.
Yeah, I think that's like what you have to do. I think Stone, Lord of Base Stone, the guy who had the world record in demo wall, has all of his seats in there. I wonder if that helps.
He does. And as a matter of fact, and Stone, he lost 1 amp and 1 sub and still was less than 1 dB down from his world record. So, and he played 20 hertz again.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick Stone right here. Nick Stone's watching right now. It's a Mazda, and it's really loud, he said.
Wait, not his car.
No,
okay.
Will Welcher's.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he said Mike Singer's was an OG Eclipse build. Nick says he likes to keep his a daily driver. Oh, you know what? Here's another thing. Matt, who did you bring with you to World Finals? Just by yourself, your son, wife, kid? Well, who else did you came with you?
Just me, Paul Hume, and Chris Caudell.
Just your team, right?
Yeah.
Nick Stone, he went there. He had his mom there. He had he probably had 6 family members
That's
there to watch him win his ring and set a new world record.
There you go.
So, that was really, really cool. Matt asked, is it Mazda MX-3 or an MX-6? Says his cousin has an MX-6. What's your plans for next year, Matt?
Honestly, I may do something different than 49.9. Maybe I might top dog. And,
all right.
There you go.
You know, maybe do 39.9 or something. You know, I just, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say too much, but I will say that we are as a team working on a pretty big build here soon.
Wow.
So Jimbo might have some competition. So
in the 59s, huh?
I mean, if you're burping 62s, I'm pretty sure you could do 59s. I mean, it might be a little bit of a
Honda
struggle,
the Honda will not be doing that. No. We're working on a van, so I mean it's probably going to be a super street class. I'm not sure exactly which one we're going to do yet, but it should 59.9 pretty easily. So I've always kind of wanted the 59.9, and So we're gonna probably do that and run it as a team.
There you go. Nick Stone says they are the best support system. His family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is cool. Uh, so right here, Justin's he's the reason that Chivo lost an amp. He was out giving demos with it all day long
Oh
at
man.
full tilt, and next thing you know, they just smoke pouring out the back of their dead amp. And this was after Saturday's qualifying. So there was no way he can get another whatever he had 20,000 watt amp in there in time for the 49.9. And Chivo came out and he did like a 49.6 still missing a whole amp. So missing half his power supply.
No.
So, I mean, respect for getting that much out of it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, have you ever talked with your son about possibly doing like a father-son vehicle or anything like that?
Yeah, we've talked about it. He actually really likes my car, and uh, I've been contemplating buying a new vehicle and just letting him take this one.
Ah.
And he actually really likes the base race. He's really good at it. He can sit right here in the garage and base race just as good as me. So it's just like I said, he's got other things on his mind right now. So we'll see if I can drag him back into it this next year and everything. But yeah, I just kind of got to the point where I want to do something different and change some classes up a little bit, and it might end up being another vehicle for myself, but right now we've got a team vehicle that we're working on and I'm going to build over the winter, and it should be coming out pretty soon.
All right, that's cool. What are your so it'd be awesome to get your son. That's all I'm saying. Because, like, Rick and Ricky were there at this World Finals.
Yeah.
Garcia out of Fresno. Oh, right there. As a matter of fact, speaking of Rick and
Oh,
Ricky,
wow.
father and son team here. Ricky popping in. Or Rick, not Ricky. So popping in. Yeah, it's super cool to see, right, the father-son teams. And not always something you can do.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. So do you have any hints or tips you'd like to share with the people watching, listening, whatever, about Base Racer Top Dog?
You'll probably laugh when I tell you this, but I'm
Serious.
I'm honestly telling the truth, and Chris Caudell and my teammates will vouch for me, but I don't ever base race at home. Like I never practice. I never do. What I've learned over the years, in all truthfulness, you can test here all you want, but when you go to finals, it changes. Everything changes. I have to sit right there and dial my car in at finals in that building on that floor, to where it's going to be smooth. And that means changing port length. That means, just, figuring the car out there. So, I guess that's my tip that I would say about base racing is don't practice. I mean, you can practice at home and practice all your stuff, but don't go to especially a finals and think that you've got it set up perfectly and then go get in the lanes and get put out. Definitely set your car up and test there, and make sure you're still on. And if you got to make adjustments, make adjustments.
Well, there you go.
I agree. Yeah. And so that's why it's really important. Either you have access, or you would buy a term lab, or you as a team, you guys as a team put in and buy a term lab and be able to have those test sessions. I mean, not necessarily at home or at the venue itself. So another important reason why you should own a term lab.
You got to have one, man. You can't do this sport without one, man. You can't. I mean, back years ago, I mean, when I first started doing it, I mean, going to shows blind, having no idea what frequency to play or what to do. I mean, you just can't do it like that. If you're going to be competitive, you have to own one.
Exactly. No, absolutely. I agree. So do you think that's why I can do all right as beat the boss, where I can just jump in any cars because I don't ever practice?
Hey man, I feel like it's an art. I mean, I know people that do practice all the time and they
Hmm.
do and they're good and everything, but I feel like once I can sit down with my car for about 30 minutes and dial it in, I can run with whoever and be just fine. But and that may be exactly how you are. You can, you might be able to take Moses's FJ and
Uh,
beat anybody.
it doesn't matter what it is. Right here, Chris Caudell says Matt's so good he doesn't need to practice.
Chris is actually a big proponent of practicing, so that's kind of
He
odd.
does.
Teammates that two totally different styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that, another tip would be to test different stuff on your head units. If you have an Alpine, if you have a Pioneer, if you have a Sony deck, if you haven't gone through your settings and base raced testing different settings of your deck, try that,
Mm-hmm.
because if your vehicle is jumpy or too hot or not hot enough, sometimes just making a few little adjustments in your deck can smooth it out. So
Oh yeah.
You ain't lying there. And
What Dana was having problems with, well, I mean, with the Pioneers,
mm-hmm.
you unplug it, you plug in your podium, it automatically is in powerful mode. The EQ setting is in powerful. So, she has to go in there, hit the button a couple of times, get it just a flat, just so it
yeah.
doesn't get all those weird jumpy responses. So, yeah, for
Yep.
sure. You got to check those out.
Paul Hume saying Mr. Three Pete.
Oh,
Yeah. Justin says Doug even won at World Finals. I did beat the boss over at World Finals and
oh, you
happened to,
did?
yeah, over
Whose
there
car
for
were
our
you
local
in?
event.
That was for Saturday, right?
It was for Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, it was against Scott. Audio Connection
Ah,
Scott versus me,
oh, that was the
and I was
40s.
using the FJ
Yeah.
and did just fine in the FJ. Just saying, wasn't that hard. So, but yeah,
Speaking of not being that hard with base race, I want to hear what both of you think about the talk right now with changing the tracks to the
Mm.
to the big pimping, to allowing the big pimping tracks and stuff like that. I mean,
no,
do y'all think that
I'm
making it
not a fan of it.
easier? I
Mm.
mean, personally, I'm not either, because I don't think that making it easier. I mean,
I don't think that makes it better.
me
Is my
neither.
best way.
True.
I think that it's a challenge to do it with the boom check tracks.
But I
Yes.
don't
And
think the boom checks are much of a challenge, though.
there, if you know how to, well, like I was just saying, when you make the adjustments to your
Uh
car,
huh.
Mhm.
when you adjust port length, when you adjust your
Right.
deck, you can sit there and dial your car in within 20, 30 minutes to run smooth.
Yep. And
So,
that's all you care about.
I don't, I'm not, I've never even base raced with a big pimping track. I've heard people talking about it, that this is the
Mhm.
way it used to be, make base race, great again and all this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Now, I mean, do I agree that I would love to see more people doing it? Yes, I do. But making it easier to where you have one tone, just even, I
Yeah.
mean, maybe a few breaks in the tone, to where you can almost just set your deck up and set the deck down on the car and walk away from it.
As a matter of fact, people were doing that with that
Yeah.
song.
Yes. Yes. So, and for you guys as judges, base race just turned from 2 hours to 4 hours, because then,
Oh,
because then
the
then you're going,
ties.
you got to have so many ties and
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. Now, I
Mhm.
am a fan of his idea of adding
Ah, that's right.
more more boom checks in between.
Yeah.
I
So,
think that was the big issue, was the frequency range of the current availability of the boom checks. is,
Yeah, because when you get
outside
in the
of
40s, the
right.
jumps are big, right? In the 20s, the jumps are small, 5 each one, five,
Yep.
5, 5. But then when you get in the 40s, it becomes 7 and then 9, right?
Oh, okay.
So you start taking it outside. When you start getting into other vehicles outside of those frequencies, and you know, I think the problem is oh, I can do a 144, and they want to compete in the 139.9 class, right? Instead of
Yeah.
them dropping down to do the 29.9 class because they feel like,
Right.
well, I can do a 39 all day, you know.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's just my opinion, but I'm a dumbass, so whatever.
I mean, yeah, don't take anything I'm saying either, but I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just speaking out loud and speaking freely, but and
That
I know a
that's
lot of people
interesting.
like
Yeah.
using these big pimping tracks or whatever the hell they are, and
Yeah.
Hmm.
like I said, I've never even tried it. I'm sure it's obviously easier from what everybody said, but you know, to me, that's just gonna make it to where there's gonna be so much longer of you
Well,
know
yeah.
time.
So when we used to have 7, 8 ties over here in California, it was because of those tracks.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Smiley Watts says it's not the music keeping new competitors away. Competitors going to compete accordingly. He's
yeah.
not wrong.
Yeah.
Eric says my peak is 44 and I use Boom Check 4. So he's one of the people that's his numbers dead in the center
Yeah,
of what that Boom Check is.
yeah.
Hmm.
And here
So
again, your peak could be 44, but I mean, if you have an adjustable aero port, you can make adjustments to make your car run or your vehicle run smoother,
yep,
for whatever track you're running.
no doubt. I agree. I'm not a fan of the. I mean, I'll do whatever the group agrees on, right? As an organization, Jeffrey and I will follow whatever rules they put out. It doesn't mean I have to like the rules. So,
Yeah.
but
Didn't we? I mean, like we used to allow any kind of songs, and then it got to the point where people were saying, "Hey, that's a tone,
yes,
camouflage as a song," and then I think Wayne came up with that
the
what is that?
AI.
Yeah, that AI, and then it
Hmm.
was supposed to help with differentiating a tone or a song, and I think
Yeah.
people got upset at that, and then that's
Yep.
Yeah.
when we were like, okay, let's just go to Boom Check, level the playing field, and then everybody was happy, and but then I don't know. I mean, it's difficult. It's
What's
difficult
gonna
to say.
happen is that the first 3 rounds everybody's gonna tie,
Yeah.
and then you're going to go into randoms, and then you're going to find out who practices randoms and who doesn't practice randoms. Who knows
Yes.
which volume to come out when it drops from 49 down to 43.7. Do you
Dang.
know how many clicks to go down, and so that you don't break out? So,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. And there was also somebody recommending that they tack on the hundredths place throughout, and then that way it'll. I don't know if it'll help with the ties. Maybe
oh
have
yeah, I
less
remember seeing that.
ties.
Yeah,
And I'm
Uh,
like, well, I mean, that might not be entirely wrong.
well, no, because like I guarantee Matt can tell you from his experience, he can dial that 9.9 in all freaking day.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Or
I
the
don't know.
9.8. I mean, it's so hard to like I said, it's no different whether it's the hundredths place or the tens place when you're looking at it.
and when
Um,
it's a straight tone almost with just
yeah,
breaks in the middle, you will be able to dial it in
yeah,
Hmm.
like
for
that.
fun.
So, I mean,
Chris Caudell says I'll be more than happy if Wayne makes it easier. If we can win when it's harder, what do you think will happen when it's easier?
Wow.
Matt R says I did a 149.9999.
yeah.
So
That's
no,
what it might come down to.
yeah. So and then your instruments aren't that accurate. So now once again we're back to inaccurate instruments when they're insanely accurate in the grand scheme of things, right?
Mhm.
So, but
We'll
anyway,
see what happens.
Aside from that, Matt, what would you, um, I mean, not necessarily change, but what would you, do you have any suggestions that we could like make it different?
mhm.
Or I had mentioned just kind of out of the blue, have the vehicles sealed optional, type thing for the new season. Something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, is there something that you would want to say that, hey, maybe we could try this?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could try something like that, like what you just said. That would be kind
Mhm.
of cool. I mean, uh, you know, the rules with being in the car,
Mhm.
and then what is it after the second run or something? You have to
Yes.
get out,
Yep.
Right.
and then
First
after
tie
that,
off, second tie out.
yep. So, uh, you know, make it to where you can't sit in the car. Period. Just everybody out of the
Mm.
car
Yeah.
off. I mean,
Yeah.
in my opinion, if you've got your car running and it's charging and you run one round or two rounds and then you got to turn the car off, I mean, you're really not gaining that much charge off of an alternator anyway.
Nope.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
um,
In some of these battery banks, the alternator's a drain.
yeah,
At least for the first
Mm.
few minutes, right?
yeah,
It's a drain on the battery system, not a
yeah,
Interesting. Yeah.
charging system, right?
yeah. And
So,
I
like I said
almost
to begin with, I mean, I run 4 Titans. That's it. I run 2 reserves and two
Wow.
powers. When I pull in the lanes, I turn my car off instantly. I get out of the car. I don't want to run inside the car,
Yeah.
and I can run 30 rounds. I mean, no problem at 49.9.
Yeah, I
So
think I made that mistake when we had a multi-venue and okay, it was the second tie and we communicate over the phone, us, Chris Gregory, Doug, when we do the multi-venue, and it's like, okay, so the second tie I says, all right, competitors need to be outside of the car. And then I think Chris had said, dude, this is Tennessee. Everybody's outside of their vehicle. But
yeah,
um I think though there's like a hurdle, maybe for I want to say bringing in new competitors that don't necessarily have a podium. Like
yeah,
I think like Rosa, she was competing with her steering wheel volume control, right?
yep.
If we didn't have that rule about, exiting the vehicle after the second tie, I wonder if that would get more people in, like new people,
yeah,
that don't necessarily have that. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it just seems like, we could. There's a couple
I
of things
wouldn't
that
be
we could do.
opposed to it being to where you either could be in the car the full time or be
Yeah.
out of the car the full time, or
Hmm.
to me, honestly, that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Uh, I've seen some people, man, and it really it shocks me whenever I see them do this. But there's a few people that do not base race with volume clicks; they base race with a bass knob.
Well, most
And
everybody does, except for
man,
you weirdos.
I
What?
can't do that. I mean, I mean, there's a few guys here that do it. I mean, Mike Smiley,
Mhm.
I know he base races with a bass knob, and he's
Okay.
extremely good. So, I mean, I know it can be done, but I've tried
Yeah.
it a few times here, and it's just like, man, you can't. You don't know where those clicks are. You don't know where you are.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I get such a better feel for it on a bass knob.
really.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
I
a like a
can feel.
smooth.
Yeah, definitely no click, not the click
Interesting.
ones, but
Yeah.
the smooth ones, the rheostats. I can feel the slight change and watch and I can I can
Interesting.
meet my feeling of what the slight change is with the number on the board, if that makes sense. I can feel this much turn equals this much volume,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, Chris Cadell says us weirdos keep winning. Not against me, you don't.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I think he uses an Alpine, right? So,
This year I want to say he used his Sony deck.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
um,
Correct
Matt,
me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. But I think he used his Sony deck
a
this year.
Sony
okay.
Explode. Matt Arce
Knowing Chris, possibly so,
Oh,
because
possibly, huh?
he has some old vintage Alpine stuff.
Well, he says Alpine.
Oh yeah, he chimed in saying Alpine.
Did he say Alpine? Okay.
Yeah.
I know he was practicing with his Sony deck over there, so
Okay.
I couldn't remember which one he used this year, but yeah.
Matt R
think
says knob turners versus button clickers.
I think when we were shopping for a head unit for our podium, we went to Best Buy and we were just turning all the knobs on like the Sonys, the Alpines, and the different head units. We're like, how does that feel? That feels pretty smooth. That's a little clicky.
Yeah.
So if you want to just like test things out, you can.
Like Josh Tate2's bass knob is, I mean, you can literally, so it's a rheostat, and I think it goes 0 to 100, and so you can, like Smiley says here, use a bass. I use a bass knob. We just had the volume set accordingly. That goes back to knowing your vehicle, right? Yeah. So I can get in a vehicle and I can look down at this bass knob and I can go, okay, guess what? 13 to 14, 15, 16. So every 3%, because it's 0 to 100%, right? So every 3% is a tenth of a dB gain. And you get that feel and you know it, right? So you can go up 2% and just hold it right there and wait, and then go up that 3% to get that extra, tenth of a dB gain, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it helps too because Josh's bass knobs come with a full-on display that give you every, reading
anything
possible.
you want. That's right. So
I can see that, with those kind of bass knobs.
Yeah, but I mean LC1. I mean, an LC1 works
no display on an LC1,
but it works just fine.
Okay.
And if you take an LC1 and you take the knob off of it and make your own, get you a piece of MDF make one about like that, drill you a hole in it, and put it on an LC1, it works great. Like what you said, you can't go wrong with a $25 LC1.
Yeah. LC1s are good. I know people that keep them as backups. If something goes wrong, the LC1 always works, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just the way life goes. All right, guys. Well, we hit our hour and then some. We went a little bit past. But Matt, any shout outs, any sponsors or people you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just thank the team first, my wife for, always letting me go do what I love to do. Excess Power for all the best stuff, Sound Digital for the amps, Sundown for the subs. That's what we run.
All right. What about you, Jeffrey? What you got?
Man, I think I'm gonna be like in hibernation mode for the next couple of months after this this run of shows. Man, we were like trying to keep up with everybody and the whole points thing, and it seemed like we were doing a show every weekend in September, and I think I'm gonna kind of maybe just chill and hibernate a little bit before I come back out, and we'll see how that goes.
I'm kind of missing doing shows already. I've had 1 week off.
Yeah, I know the feeling. That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah, but when you don't have a show in the near future, right? It gives a little different perspective on it for me. So, but
set up that multi-venue. Go ahead and set it up for the beginning of the year or something like that. That way we can kick it off right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, we were waiting for Chris to come up with the date. So I gave Chris all my dates in February and said, just tell me a date. Yeah. So it's on Chris.
Okay.
And I know he's going to watch this, right?
We got to get, Wayne involved. I mean, Wayne's obviously has to be involved in it as well. So it's, we got to find out when Wayne's doesn't have a paper that was due or something like that to have him,
Well, he's trying to get his doctoral,
that.
Right? He's
right.
Trying to get, he's going for a doctorate. So
I wonder if there's a way where we could just knock it out ourselves. But
we can.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
He wants to be part of it just because it's his baby, right? And he wants to see it do its
it
thing.
it helps them with like
Yes.
finding,
Yeah.
bugs and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And plus, we're trying to make things better for World Finals for the next year, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
ultimately the goal on his end. And on our end, it's just a great opportunity to add some money to the pot to, go against people you never go against before.
Yeah.
Some of the cool stuff like that. And that's always really cool. Just, these names that and then you get an opportunity to go against them, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think the brackets worked out absolutely perfect at World Finals. No
Yeah.
I think there was only one same venue run to start.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's only one time where the two people at one venue had to go against each other. Every other
Oh,
one was one venue against another venue,
Yeah.
which is awesome, right? Because that's what we're all hoping for. And since it's random, you never know.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
What was the biggest exciting run at you both of y'all's venue as far as like Super Street or what like
Oh, ours were our cyclone runs were
Oh,
a
yeah.
big deal. I mean,
okay.
we both set world records. Um, it wasn't as exciting watching Ricky win his world champion. I mean,
Uh,
he had the no
Fiorino.
wall. Yeah, the Fiorino. He had this.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
but definitely the cyclone runs were a pretty big deal out here in the California.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
I'd have to say the 30s in base race. Um, going into finals, it seemed like everyone was shooting for the 20s. That's because that's what they've been doing, the whole season, getting ready for. And then to kind of, hear the news about, okay, first place and second place in each of the classes were moving on, it kind of threw a curve a little bit. But it ended up working out. And to see, a Texas guy, Donnie Keller, I don't think he even did 30s class throughout the season, decided to do 30s and, ended up winning it.
Yeah.
I think that was a big moment for us. And just like you said, Doug, I think I talked to you on the phone
Mm-hmm.
after the event, and you said, "Oh, you heard me over the live stream."
Yeah.
And then, what you said kind of hit me, and I was like, "Dang, that's kind of crazy how you think about it." But to kind of go back in this little story, hopefully we have like a few minutes. Sorry if I'm going over
No,
time.
that's fine.
But so when I won my championship, this was in DB drag. Doug was the judge, and in a video, he had announced, um, Team X's SPL Jeffrey world champion. And not a lot of people know this, but I took that from the video, and it's now my ringtone on my phone. So every time somebody calls me, it says Jeffrey world champion, Jeffrey world champion. And when I was talking to Doug on the phone after the event, this finals, he said, "Oh, I heard you on the live stream. It's making these moments that, maybe Donnie will, use what I said over the mic as his new ringtone." And it was just like, man, that's kind of cool. Something like that can, come in for full circle, I should say. So
Yeah.
that was my
Yeah.
biggest takeaway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like I told Jeffrey then, it's those moments there that keep you coming back as the judge.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
is you never want to remove that as an opportunity for anybody, and
Yep.
that's really what's kept me being a judge for all these years. Um, Ray Choi, hold on, I'll share with you. Where's Ray? Ray texted me. He listened to the podcast after Wayne was on. Um, and let's see here. He says, I really appreciate what you said in your podcast the other week about doing this so you guys have a chance at a ring. I feel like perhaps I do the same to give others in my area the same chance. you know,
Mhm.
and us as judges, that's one thing we can do. And I left it with Jose Ramos Jr. and hopefully that's he's gonna take that baton and continue running with it, right? And start giving all these other people that may not have competed an opportunity to try and win a ring.
Exactly.
And I mean, you know, the rings are awesome, and they give out one a year for each class. That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I mean, base race has only been around since 2006, maybe.
Was it? We'll,
Oklahoma was the
we'll
first
have
year.
to back fact check that.
Yeah, I think it was 2006. Oklahoma, I think was the first year, and you know, so there hasn't even been 20, 29.9 base race rings given out. As far as
Dang.
49.9 base race goes, I don't even not even oh, they did have it the first year. So there's only been what 18 of those rings ever handed
Wow.
out, and you have one of 18 that were ever handed out
Well,
in the
Matt's
whole
got three of
history of the
them.
world.
Yeah, three of them.
Matt's got
Of
three of
49
them.
nines?
Let me rephrase. I got two of them right now. I'm
Oh,
waiting on the third one.
Okay, of
ah,
49 nines?
49 nines. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So yeah,
yeah.
so you got 3 of the
Dang,
18 that were
it's a
ever
big
produced.
percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's phenomenal, right?
Love it.
And don't ever want to take that away from anybody as an opportunity.
exactly. What if,
That first ring is
Kramer?
the best one though, man. It's the best one. When
That
Oh
you
yeah.
feeling,
get the
huh?
first ring, it's something else. And I'll tell you somebody else at our venue was David Hunt. He won
Yeah.
Street Stock 1K, and he's been in
Yeah.
Street Stock 1K for 3 years now. So man, seeing his face when he won was like it was all
Ah,
worth it, man. It was like, you know,
yeah.
I helped him out, built him some boxes, and we built him some subs and got him dialed in and everything. And but yeah, when you see somebody else,
Oh
after you
yeah.
win one, but when you see somebody else do good and somebody else
Yeah.
win one, especially their first one,
Yep.
man, it's pretty cool.
If you guys get a chance, I don't know where it's at. Nick is in the chat. Nick, if you get a chance, post that video of you winning yours. Um,
Oh, okay.
it's exactly like you said, right? Um, another one that's really good to see if you ever get an opportunity to see it. If Jeffrey gets a chance, and I'm sure Jeffrey knows right where the video is of him winning his in 2007, where the ringtone came from. That.
I actually, so I got the Texas competitors on a group chat for Facebook, so I can help say, hey, come into the lanes and stuff like that. And I actually shared that video in that group chat, and I says, okay, watch this video. May you guys all have lasting memories at finals type thing.
Oh,
And then I told them, but excuse the theatrics because we all know. I mean, you and I, Doug,
yeah.
know, what theatrics, what happened, but
But that doesn't even
yeah,
matter, right?
right, right.
It
Those
was the
memories.
moment, right?
Yes, the moments.
It was what was going on in the moment, and
Hmm.
those moments are fleeting, right?
Yeah,
Um, and it's just, I mean, hopefully you guys. I know if you're listening, you can't see it, but just a big old smile on my face just thinking about, um,
hmm,
you know, all those moments that I personally got to be a part of. That ring
yeah.
may not have went on my finger, but I
Oh,
feel the part of being part of that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Just like Matt was with David.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
it's definitely rewarding,
yeah.
like what you said.
Hmm.
And also to kind of talk about Donnie Keller, the guy who won 30s in Texas.
Uh huh.
My wife, you know, she was doing base race. She didn't do finals this year, but she's gone against Donnie several times. They've gone back and forth.
Hmm.
When Donnie won, Dana came up to me. She had tears in her eyes. She was crying. She was like, "I'm so happy Donnie won." And I was like, he was like one of your biggest competitors. And I was like, yeah, that was the kind of moment that, kind of hit me too. So
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
oh yeah.
Oh
For
yeah,
sure.
Nick said that's because Jeffrey knows I try to step out of the pictures at finals just because it's their moment, right? So I don't want to distract from their moment in any way, shape, or
Yeah.
form, right? So I kind of always step back in pictures unless somebody asks me to be in a picture, right? Because I want the focus truly to be on that person. And Nick says that's why I wanted you in my picture when I accepted my trophy, right? So, like I said, I mean, as much as your rings meant to you, Matt, if your son goes and competes and wins a ring, your
Yeah.
rings won't mean nothing.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah. I could see that. He could probably be pretty competitive. I'm telling you, man, though, 29-9 and 39-9, I feel like is harder than 49 or 59. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Oh.
Jimbo's in there by himself. I mean, it's like, man, and there's not a whole lot of 49-9, but the 29-9 guys, man, props to them all because they got to go through a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And
You didn't just magically end up there.
yeah, no, you got to go through a lot of people. And, same with 39. Like what you said,
Yep.
we had a few people that broke over, and
Yep.
I think got into 39 by accident.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yep.
all right, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in this week. I want to thank our sponsor, Stolman Transportation LLC, Badass Sounds by Steve Bass, and eBox Design and Install, Mr. Eric Hansen. I want to thank you guys for being part of the show today. I want to thank Matt Holloran. Thank you, Matt. Hey,
Thank
great,
you guys.
great guest here today. We appreciate you and all what you do. Jeffrey, as always, did a great job. Jeffrey and I had last week off. I was traveling to Vegas. Jeffrey was recovering, so just couldn't get to do the show. But once again, I'd like to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank all our guests and all our supporters and watchers and this and that. If you guys get an opportunity, hit the like, share, subscribe, all that button stuff. I think we're up to like 500 or 416 followers on YouTube.
Oh man,
We
gotta get those numbers up.
I know our numbers. Here's the truth about it. We get almost 4,000 hours a month watched on YouTube, but because I don't have 1,000 subscribers on there, we don't get paid. So you need 4,000 hours total time on all your videos watched to get paid, but you need 1,000 subscribers, and we get 4,000 hours a week viewed on our podcast, but we don't have the 1,000 subscribers. So,
Yeah, if you guys are listening, man, just really easy. Hit subscribe.
yep, doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anywho. All right, guys, want to thank you one more time. Thanks, Jeffrey. Thank you, Matt. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week at 5:30 California time, the only time that matters, on This Week in Car Audio. Peace. We out.